Hey there, welcome back. Today's video is going to be a bit of a long one, so I should warn you now. I'm not offended if you're not a big fan of long videos and you need to skip this one, but I just want to let you guys know it's going to be an overall comprehensive video about how I take care of my skin, how I approach skincare, how I make the decisions that I make about products or whatnot. So let's get started. If you are new to my channel, I should people that have been following my blog for a while know this. So I really do love skincare, but I don't ever claim to be a professional or like an expert on it. I'm just someone that really enjoys it. I find it fun. It's just become like a really, fun passion of mine. That being said, kind of takes me into my second point, which is there's definitely a fine line between being passionate and wanting to take care of your skin and then kind of stepping over that line to the kind of more obsessive side. And I say that because there is an overlying theme and message to kind of how I take care of my skin, or the approach that I take to taking care of my skin. And it's one of a lot of acceptance. So I have concerns with my skin, and like everyone does, but there is a certain amount of acceptance that I have about my skin and the things that I can change, or the things that I can, or the things that are in my control, or the things that are not in my control. And as a result, there's only so much that I can do and change with skincare. So that allows me, once I kind of take that expectation off the table, that it's not going to be like a cure-all, then I can have fun with skincare and I can really enjoy it. And I do really stress that, because let me give you an example of kind of how that plays into how I take care of my skin. So over the past year, I've talked about it before on my channel a few times, as I do struggle with some back and neck issues. And as part of my treatment, I did some epidural injections. And a side effect from the epidural injections is pretty intense hormone imbalance. And, sorry, Elmo's like scratching right next to me on the floor here. Stop. Pretty strong hormonal imbalance. And so how that has manifested in me, it's manifested in a bunch of different ways, but one of the ways is really strong cystic breakouts around my chin. And I know that there are hormonal breakouts, and I've had them here and there like this, but never this regular, this intense, and really there's nothing I can do. So I have really great acne products and really great products in general that have worked for me in the past to help fix breakouts or help soothe breakouts. And unfortunately, this is just one of those times where nothing I have works, because truly it's out of my hands. So that's a perfect example of kind of giving yourself a break. I went to Costa Rica recently, a few weeks ago, and I woke up the morning of, and I had, not even exaggerating, this large of a cystic blemish right on my chin. It was huge, so much so even my husband looked at me and was like, whoa, that is really big. It was, and it literally swelled up the entire side of my face. It lasted, it took a month to go away. All the pictures from Costa Rica, I would like turn to this side because it was huge. And I'm going to a beach area where I'm not wearing any makeup except maybe at night to dinner, and there's nothing I can do. So another one of those times where, most people probably would have been it is not fun to have like this bright red, painful, huge, swollen blemish on the side of your jaw when you're not wearing any makeup, your hair is up, you're in a bathing suit. There's nothing fun about it. There's nothing fun about the regular, really big breakouts that I've had as a result of the injections, but there's nothing I can do. And so there comes a point where you just have to kind of step back and just accept. So, and that is really important, because skincare is because we're dealing with our skin, that can be very emotional, and it can be very frustrating, and with the trial and error of things that work and things that don't, and the things that we don't like about our skin, it can be, so much is wrapped up into it. So I have, this kind of is the reason I'm able to kind of enjoy skincare at this point is because I kind of take a step back and realize there's only so much that it can do. And at some point, the aging process is going to happen regardless of what I do. Things that are out of my control, like these epidural injections, I didn't realize that that's the kind of side effect that it would take on my skin, but it did. And I have to just deal with it and keep moving. Does it frustrate me? Does it make me feel a little more self-conscious when I'm out at a meeting at work and it's really big, like they look like a bug bite sometimes? Yeah, and it's not fun. It can knock your self-esteem a little bit, but at the end of the day, I just kind of have to accept. And with that acceptance comes a little bit of freedom, and then I can just, enjoy skincare for what it is. And that takes me into my little list that I made fell. Takes me into my final point before we get into my routine, and that's, I get a lot of requests for like one great product. That one product that is going to miraculously transform everyone's skin. That doesn't exist. So I really need that should be, if there's one thing and everyone takes away from this video, it's that there's not one product to cure everybody. There's not a miracle product out there. And there are great products and that work for different people, maybe works at different times for you. Maybe it worked at one point, it doesn't work anymore, who knows? But there's not one cleanser, or one serum, or one product that will just cure everything. It's not possible. So once again, in comes the acceptance, in comes the, being okay with what you kind of end up with. And knowing that you can change things. I have, made my skin a lot better in a lot of ways with the products that I use. But things are always gonna pop up that are gonna kind of be frustrating and I'm gonna really kind of struggle with, and that's just kind of being human. So kind of give yourself a break and allow yourself to just kind of accept your skin the way that it is. And then you can begin to see the fun side of skincare, which is trying different products and really pampering yourself and treating yourself, because that's the real fun part of it. So I have pretty much the same routine for morning and evening, meaning steps that I take. And yeah, they're pretty, I change them up here and there based on morning and night, but pretty much I follow the same routine and steps every evening and night. So I typically, in the evening, double cleanse. So I start with maybe a cleansing balm or cleansing oil. This is the Elemis cleansing balm. And that helps to break down my makeup. I prefer cleansing balms and oils because they really cut through all the makeup that I wear and really get my skin nice and clean without stripping it. I don't need anything to strip away all the oils and whatnot, because my skin is gonna just overproduce more oil and then I end up being oilier. So then in the evenings, I double cleanse. In the mornings, I just cleanse once. And so I normally follow it up with a milk or a gel or maybe another cleansing oil or balm. And now how I determine whether I use a cleanser as a first cleanse or a second cleanse, this is kind of where, my kind of whatever approach to skincare comes in the way that sometimes I don't know why I use one cleanser for a second cleanse versus a first cleanse. Sometimes I have reason behind it. I like the cleansing oil and balm because it really cuts through my makeup. But sometimes I'll just grab that same cleansing oil and use it as a second cleanse as well. And it's just, what kind of hits my fancy at the time. I don't think we should overthink things too much. But that being said, when it does come to second cleansers, if I do have a cleanser that has an active ingredient that's designed to help brighten or exfoliate or retexturize the skin or whatever it is, I like to use those type of cleansers, maybe like a treatment cleanser. I'm holding the Restore C, which is a cleanser I just reviewed on the blog, and it has an exfoliating agent in it that really helps to retexturize the skin and helps with any dark spots or pigmentation, or just it has it's a glycolic acid. It's an ingredient here that mimics the effects of glycolic acid. So I like to use this as a second cleanse so that it can get right onto my bare skin and really work its magic. So that's typically how I determine if I use something as a first or second cleanse. Next I move on to toning. I typically like to do like a light acid tone first, either by a liquid, something like the Pixie Glow Tonic, or like a pad, facial pads, like the First Aid Beauty pads are really ones that I love. I think that, when it comes to these, the amount of acid that's in them are very, very small still. It's still very minimal. So don't be concerned if the rest of your routine has acids or whatnot in it. Don't be too afraid that maybe you're over exfoliating. If you do find that your skin is getting very irritated, it may be worth taking a look at that. Mine does not, but these are pretty, mild in terms of acid levels. So I like to start then with an acid tone, and then I follow it up with like a hydrating mist or a facial treatment or an essence, because I like to, once I've done that light exfoliation, I like to then kind of hit the skin with like some moisture or something hydrating, like an essence, or like this one from Tata Harper, this hydrating floral essence. And then this would be the time in my routine typically where I would like mask and put the masks, whatever, and wipe them off, and then maybe do another spritz of the hydrating floral essence or whatever hydrating mist that you're doing, and then I get onto the rest of my routine. I then go in with my eye cream, because I like to do it right on my skin after I've toned and cleansed. I don't like to do my eye cream at the end. I like to get it right onto my bare skin before I start putting all my treatments on. This is a Sunday Riley Start Over eye cream that I really enjoy. If I'm using any acne treatments, this is the time when I would use them as well, because I want that acne treatment to get right on my bare skin rather than on top of whatever moisturizer and serum I've put on. But I found this article online, which, I'm always looking for articles to help me better understand the ingredients in my products. And it's really helped because it talked about what ingredients maybe don't always work well together or can cause irritation. For example, like retinol and alpha hydroxy acids. Alpha hydroxy acids being like glycolic acid or lactic acid. Sometimes if you use two products, one that has retinol, one that has a glycolic acid, it could cause irritation. So that's good to know. I actually cut this little article out and I put it on the inside of my medicine cabinet, just so that if I'm like putting products together, I can always kind of remind myself. Another one is retinol and acne treatments. Because acne treatments can be very strong or have other acids in them, and maybe using a retinol and an acne treatment together could cause irritation. And the final one was vitamin C and alpha hydroxy acids. I didn't realize this, but it says that alpha hydroxy acids could change the pH of the vitamin C, thus destabilizing it and making it like ineffective. I didn't realize that. So some of those things are just good to know and use as a guideline maybe when you're deciding what serum and moisturizer to put together. So when I move on to my serums, I will test out serums for a long period of time. So normally 4 to 6 weeks, even more, so I can really determine if I'm getting great results. But I tend not to, that being said, I don't use them 7 nights in a row, like 7 days a week. I'll use them like 5 nights a week, 4 nights a week, and then I'll throw in maybe a day here and there if I want a different serum. If I am struggling with any type of like dark spots, or if I'm feeling exceptionally dry, I'll want to throw in like a hydrating serum to help my skin feel a little bit more hydrated. So that's kind of how I determine what serum to choose, is really what I'm trying to focus on at the time. And then, to give it enough time to see results. Because cleansers and masks and even toners, you can see results very quickly. But moisturizers and serums, you definitely will need a little bit more time to see any results. And there are a few ingredients that I really kind of gravitate towards. I love retinol products over the counter. We're talking like stuff you can get at Sephora, stuff you can get at the drugstore. Not talking like dermatologist-based stuff. That is a whole other category that I don't know anything about. So I'm talking everything over the counter. So I do love retinol-based products, and I love glycolic acid, because I find that they work really well on my skin, and they're great at helping with exfoliation, breaking up of dark spots, any type of anti-aging concerns that I may have. They're great at helping with breakouts. Most of the time, some of my breakouts are kind of immune to them at this point. Next, I normally jump to a moisturizer after my serum. This is just one that I've been using, the Verso Night Cream. And like I said, I do try to take into account what active ingredient is in my serum versus in my moisturizer, and making sure, number one, that they're compatible, and making sure that maybe if my skin is feeling extra sensitive, that I don't like pack my routine with like really strong ingredients that may irritate my skin even more. So it's really good to be aware of like what's in your serums and moisturizers. What's the active ingredient in them? And then after my moisturizer is typically when I add like a facial oil. This is the Artemis from Sunday Riley. But sometimes I like to use my facial oils last, but a lot of times I like to use them in place of a moisturizer. So I use serum and then facial oil. Or I like to do my cleanse, my tone, and then slap a facial oil on and go to bed. So, this is again where it comes in that I think people get really, and I do love directions and things that are very black or white, but but then again, sometimes I like to just do what I want to do and what makes sense for my skin and what I see maybe has a good result for my skin. I mean, there's definitely certain rules, meaning that like you don't moisturize first and cleanse last. I get that. But if you want to use a facial oil underneath your moisturizer, okay. If you want to use it in place of a moisturizer, okay. I think people get really like tied up sometimes in those details. And it's good to kind of know a little bit of where it falls in your routine, but it's also okay to know that you can change it if you want. But on the whole, as a kind of guideline, the thinner the product is, it should go on first. The thicker a product is, it should go on last. So if you were to put your serums and moisturizers and facial oils kind of all out together, and you line them up in maybe how thick they all are, and then that will help you determine in what steps to put them on. But in all, it should really go serum and then moisturizer, and then a facial oil. And then in the morning, I throw on an SPF at the final step after everything is done. I throw on an SPF. This is the Murad Invisibler Perfecting Shield. Sometimes in the morning, but once again, I don't always use a facial oil in the morning. I don't always feel like I need one. Sometimes I skip serum and I just go right to moisturizer in the morning because maybe my skin is feeling a little bit too oily and I don't need all the extra steps, or I don't have that much time. It's okay to kind of switch things around and kind of try different routines, because your skin is changing all the time, or my skin is changing all the time. And there are times where like I'll do my routine and then I'll duplicate that routine the next day and I'll have a totally different result. And for whatever reason, my skin is acting up that day and it's a little bit more oily, or maybe it's more dry. So it's good to kind of allow yourself that flexibility to make those changes. So let's just do a quick recap. So I typically double cleanse at night, single cleanse in the morning. I do like a light acid tone, and then follow it up with like a hydrating mist or a hydrating essence. I typically would mask after that step. So I don't mask every night, but if I want to, that's the step I would do it. Then next I would throw in an eye cream, and then a serum, a moisturizer, facial oil, and then SPF is always last. So that kind of rounds out my routine and the steps that I take and the thought process behind everything. So I hope some of this was helpful. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave me some comments below, or questions, and I will talk to everyone soon. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.